The building that housed the radar is gone.
We're blind. Prepare for an attack.
But there was nothing on the scope prior to the attack.
That is precisely why we must assume an attack is imminent.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jodo cast. We're doing something a little bit different today. I just want to do a bit of a hobby showcase, showing off the Terror from Below squad pack for Star Wars Shatterpoint. I recently finished these guys up, and I just wanted to show them off because I'm really happy with how they turned out, and I learned a lot while doing it. So I wanted to learn how to do kind of beach and water effects.
The beach!
Because I wanted to do a whole bunch of cohesive Scarif bases for my Rogue One characters. But I thought I'd start on these guys because obviously the Aqua Droids, Rift Hampson and No Siree, is his name No Siree? As in No Siree Bob?
No Siree Bob, it is not.
Sorry to derail, I gotta look this up. I've never said it out loud before. His name is No Siree. No Siree!
Oh, sirree!
I'm gonna show off these guys and then I'm gonna explain how I use those things to get this effect. I'm pretty happy with how the water turned out on all of these. And also, something I'm extra happy about is you can see, I thought, okay, well these guys just stepped out of the water, they're storming a beach or something. They should be wet. I didn't want to douse the whole miniature in some kind of gloss because I thought that might be a little overkill. So I took the water texture and layered it up slowly in layers, dripping off. You can see, especially when the light catches it, the water dripping off the underside of the arm and the underside of the head.
You're dripping.
And the chest on these Aqua Droids. Here's the other one. He's standing on some kind of debris. There's drips coming off of his legs here. I think that turned out really cool and made a really neat effect here. This guy stepping out of the ocean and really selling that wetness. And then we've got No Siree here, which...
No siree.
I'm really happy how this guy turned out. I think I went even a little simple with the color scheme. I did want to, in his official artwork, this is part of the clothes, but I thought it would be fun to let him have his guns out. And I covered, he's standing on some kind of debris in the sculpt, but I just covered that with sand, so now he's kind of looks like he just emerged from the ocean like Aquaman. And I gave him some of those water drips too. His spear is dripping wet.
No Siree.
You're dripping.
And parts of his clothes and his hands are, but I think this is the water I'm most satisfied with. Really, I feel like it sells that kind of lapping beach that he just strode out of. And then finally, we've got Rift Hampson himself. So this one had the most, I guess, modification. So this is all part of the original sculpt. However, on the original sculpt, he's sort of bursting out of a vent in the ground or a grate. And there was a bunch of little metal pieces in the splash, and I just completely covered those with green stuff. So then I could just paint over them and make all of this. You can tell if you look closely right here, there's a kind of a big flat area that was like a piece of metal. And now it's just all water. I found some little craft rocks. Thought he should be doing kind of a Little Mermaid thing, leaping up onto the shore. I initially thought maybe the whole thing would be water, but I like the look of him hitting the shore. So I built that up with sand. I covered up all the base with just regular basing material. And then I did my water effects on top, and then I covered all of this kind of 3D water splash with the same water effects. And like the other guys, I thought he should have some water on him too, because obviously he just burst out of the water ready to chomp some people. So I put some water kind of trailing off the back of his arms. I'm not sure how much that reads, but getting the water effects just on the characters' bodies, I think, kind of helps sell that fun effect of the kind of the motion of the character. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. This looks really cool. If you want to replicate this look, turned out it was actually really easy. After I did some experimenting, I looked online and I didn't actually find a lot of tutorials that they were all kind of bigger scale or different kind of dioramas than what I was looking for. So what I did, I got some Vallejo desert sand, which scientifically is very different than beach sand, but when it comes to minis, I think probably not that big of a deal. So I put down some desert sand and I experimented with the application. You can see this one looks a little bit different than some of the other ones. Like putting it on with a brush versus with a sculpting tool does actually kind of... This one, you can see a little bit more of the brush strokes in it. This one is a little more natural looking. So covered it with sand and built it up like this one. Built it up higher over here because I know I want to put the water here, so I'll make the sand a little taller on this side. Then, next step, and I'm pretty sure this is completely optional and doesn't actually make a difference. I use some Vallejo still water texture. I think this is probably more useful for larger areas and dioramas, or if you have actually more of like a basin, like if you wanted to fill a bucket or something with something that looked like water. But I did put that down and I spread it around on these flat areas, and that gave me a couple millimeters of water as like a base. But before I did that, I painted the water blue. The first time I tried it without painting the water blue, and I didn't like how it turned out. It was very clear, and from a distance, it didn't really sell the water effect, even though, you know, water's clear. So I painted a gradient on the sand from where I wanted the water to start, lighter and end darker. And I just used 2 Thin Coats Ray Gun Glow as my brightest point. This scale color Bearing Blue as my midpoint. And the AMP colors with our fun little AMG guy there from Pro Acryl, just dark navy blue as my darkest point. And that was simply just blending those to make a gradient. So then after I put the paint on, I put the still water on, which you don't need to do. This is really the main thing if you want to copy this, is use the Vallejo water texture. Nope, not that one. That's foam effect. This one. Water texture, transparent water. So this one, unlike the still water is supposed to like dry super level and kind of fill an area. This is more sculptable. This is how we can make the drips coming off of our guys. It's a bit more gummy. So you can just slop that down and sculpt waves and sculpt the shape of your water. And it dries clear and it dries pretty glossy, and it looks like this. And so once that's on top of the gradient, it looks really good. This is the foam texture. This I had a little bit more trouble working with. Supposed to be able to make, you know, white caps and stuff with that. With these guys, it maybe was a little too thick. Looks good at a distance. Up close, I don't know. This one looks a little better. I think it's because it's a little thinner. It actually kind of gradients it, disperse the color here. Looks a bit more lifelike. And then I use that in various spots on this splash on Rift Tamsin. I didn't use any of the still water here. I just threw down a bunch of that transparent water texture all over this thing. Yeah, I am really excited how these guys turned out. I'm especially happy with the Rift Hampson. He's got blue skin and a blue suit, and just using different kind of temperatures of blue to make those stand apart helped a lot too. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, maybe. I did. This was a big learning experience on water effects, and now I'm way more attached to these characters than I was before I started this process. And I'm excited to get them on the table, because I am super happy with how these turned out. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you've painted these guys, come hit up our Discord, because we've got a painting channel where everybody's always sharing what they're painting, and I love seeing that stuff. So tell me what you've been painting lately. If you want to show me what you've been painting lately, come to our Discord.